Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the reality-shattering cosmic portals, interdimensional keys, and gunslinger catet networks of Midworld, and descend directly into the shadow-drenched, calculation-heavy tracking grids of modern domestic espionage, weaponized federal cleanup operations, and the deeply protective world of off-the-books wetwork assets shielding their perimeter. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored black site safehouses, exclusive international tracking nodes, and the lethal analytical parameters of a highly intense deep cover optimization matrix with the man without a face, the exceptional, pulse-pounding second structural deployment anchoring the globally dominant, chart-topping Peter Black series by the absolute undisputed sovereigns of razor-sharp tactical tradecraft, rogue agency shadows, and high-velocity military suspense, David Archer and Vince Vogel. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads, where a fierce, underestimated Black Ops heroine running a strict survival loop, a powerful, dangerously territorial apex ghost operative, and an absolute defense of a rogue team's personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn political thrillers, where an endangered, hyper-observant intelligence protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of corrupt federal agency politics, lethal close-quarters combat trials, and a deadly ring of active institutional gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised national security ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep psychological profiling, hidden physiological parameters, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory assassin network, and where the authors utilize an incandescent rogue CIA asset forced into cooperation, unearthing a deep-state conspiracy diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Archer and Vogel completely dominate the vicious handler meets hidden weapon dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Vince Flynn, Lee Child, Brad Thor, and Tom Clancy, while treating realistic combative training logistics, complex personal alignment arcs, and protective military extraction tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central operative, operating under a severe, calculation-heavy handicap of a burnt identity registry, intense state-level surveillance protocols, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the global intelligence community's ruling phantom compos. Behind her rigorous urban escape footprints and tense safehouse logbooks lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried administrative secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Her collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of surviving brutal field combat, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat factors from rival syndicate hit squads, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her powerful cold-eyed ghost assassin partner Peter Black, and shielding her vulnerable personal autonomy knots from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. As the Shadow Agency's shadow clearance phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier, a series of suspicious logistic sabotage attempts, targeted federal frame-ups, and calculation-heavy urban ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate her from the living asset registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when her defensive maneuvers and raw physical output reveal that her hidden analytical trajectory is radically, impossibly, cross-referencing the identity signatures of the world's most mysterious contract killer, the faceless entity wiping out elite cartel targets. The standard boundaries of routine field cover and peaceful evasion protocols crumble, and our central protagonist runs completely out of standard diplomatic escape factors. She is thrust directly into an active invisible war across the metropolitan underground, where deceptive corporate defense houses, highly manipulative political fixes, and a calculation-heavy black market surveillance syndicate launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her advancement data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the Grand Embassy ballrooms, dark alleyways, and private fortified safehouse chambers into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. The dangerous Peter Black is purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy his massive intuitive hacking skills, overwhelming primal aura, and persistent analytical dominance to break her perimeter and verify her data stream, only to realize her hidden internal grit matches his own lethal nature step for step. Our veteran survivalist protagonist is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw physical stamina to maintain her boundary lines before the next competitive cleanup phase permanently deletes her progress. Every midnight terminal excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an arrogant special forces commander behind standard prison bars, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit.
We watch the Dark Elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as the authors reveal that the true victory requires more than just surviving a dungeon shootout or managing a toxic force partnership. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and deep state supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their volatile union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, a resilient heroine must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a military suspense thriller, deep cover asset suspense, political espionage drama, and high-velocity military grimdark noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one whispered code triggers a fatal embassy showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active agency tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes courtyard confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal biological coordinates carries massive structural weight. Archer and Vogel write with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic clang of firearms, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of an elite testing site before an interrogation sequence, and the distinct, subtle scent of gun oil, dark magic digital ozone, burning high-tech servers, expensive cigars, wet concrete, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this second installment into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes deep state dynamics and genuine dark rom suspense tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and intelligence underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute, jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to the horizon. The Man Without a Face is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes military fantasy and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the